I would be completely lying if I didn't say that there's not apprehension at every step of the way. This is an enormous risk, and the choice that we had was to stay the same, which in my opinion was not sustainable. And this is an organization that is nearly 50 years old, has had a significant role to play here in San Francisco for most of its 50 years of life, and it still isn't sustainable. It still struggles, right? And the people who work here do it on will and out of love. And I think any apprehension can't counter my feeling that this can change, that we actually can evolve a structure that is sustainable and that also is integrated more wholly into the life of our city. So the 5M project is a creative development project in downtown San Francisco. It's a 4-acre project, and it encompasses the San Francisco Chronicle building, one of the great newspapers in our country, and also a series of parking lots and vacant buildings. The project was conceived by the developer, Forest City, and the idea was to take a look at what's happened in the economy, take a look at what makes San Francisco really special, and try to think about what kinds of places do we need today, where are the places where innovation really happens, and who are the people that come together and make change. And so Forest City did a whole lot of background research, kind of looking at where does change happen? Where do breakthrough ideas come from? What are people doing when they happen? Who are they talking to? Who are they not talking to? And they also looked at what makes San Francisco unique, what is special about our city, what can be the economic drivers of the future. And when they did all that research, they came to this concept that San Francisco is very much about creativity. Artists are really central, social entrepreneurs, small businesses, lots of individuals who have big ideas and want to change the world, and people who make things. Intersection had done some strategic planning, as we do in the nonprofit world, and we determined that we really wanted to look at the nonprofit model. Intersection's really well known for being a fiscal sponsor, and we were really struck by the fact that we are constantly guiding artists and emerging arts organizations to sort of adopt the 501c3 stance, sending everyone towards the same diminishing resources and sort of teaching everyone how to behave, kind of the only way we know how to behave as a nonprofit. So we were really thinking and using words like entrepreneurship and enterprise development, probably not really knowing so much about what we meant. But and so we'd done this plan, and we knew also that we had to really look at our physical space. The building that Intersection had been in for more than 2 decades was just not working. It was too small, and there were lots of things about it that were making it hard for Intersection to really be successful. Maybe in some ways what we're really looking for is a new kind of space, and our questions were very much about where do people gather today, and what is a community-based organization in a neighborhood. There are about 16 organizations who are living here at 5M now. I mean, the stakes are higher, let's just put it that way. We're inside of a really big project. We've ramped up our programs, we've added staff, we have all these new very complicated partnerships. And what comes with that is that we have to be even more thoughtful in our planning process. We have to be much clearer about our decision-making framework. We have to really understand what kind of impact we want to make in the world. I was just having a conversation earlier with the new director of the San Francisco Arts Commission, and we were talking about how people who work in the arts, all they have is good ideas. There's just endless good ideas. Endless good ideas. But good ideas aren't why this organization exists. And so we went through a theory of change and strategic framework process, which enabled us to have the conversation about what is the single reason that Intersection needs to exist in the world right now, and what kind of change do we want to see because of it. And that conversation helped to ground us, and helped to develop, I think, a set of planning tools that we weren't necessarily bringing in. to the mix, right? We were doing really good stuff, but now we have to make choices. And when we say no, it means we're trying to say yes to something that's going to be more impactful. We're very precious about venue in our world, and we also, you know, in that way, then we miss the opportunity to just be fluid and be in the world and be an essential component of the world. The hub took on a lease, and at that time, they said, look, we'll go, because this is a good project and this is a good space for us, and we'll build you a gallery space and we'll pay for it. And you activate it, because we think that this is going to be a really significant value to our membership. And that way you don't have to convince your board that you should make this crazy move. And, you know, in the nonprofit risk-averse world, this was great, because we thought, oh, we can be there and we'll be present and part of this amazing project, but we can hold on to our old venue and satisfy those people who are afraid of this move. We held on to our theater for a little while, because what were we going to do with our performance program if we didn't have a theater space? And it really only took a couple of months, and we said, it's just not bold enough. If we stay here, we're still stuck. We still have the corners to hide in, and we still have the place that everyone loves. And so in the moving here, we gave up our theater for a period of time. We're exploring space, and we're saying, hey, what happens if you put theater in an office space? What happens if you put it in the basement? What happens if you put it outside? And all of that will inform, in the long term, what we ultimately build. I mean, I think that's a question that has to be asked of any arts organization anywhere. It's where are we, and what does it mean where we are? Like, why are we located in these neighborhoods, and what role are we playing in these neighborhoods? And so, fortunately for Intersection, that's the work for us. The work is knowing where we are and collaborating with the people who are here. And we bring that practice and brought that practice along with us, which has been really helpful. What it reveals, of course, after being in the mission for 25 years, is that a new neighborhood is a new neighborhood. You know, there's a lot of work to be done, a lot of work, and you know, it's probably the biggest priority for the organization is to be here and to build the right relationships and to understand and map the neighborhood. I think people want to know, how is this going to change my neighborhood, and how will this make my life better? And I think those questions are probably not posed to us because it's not our project in that way. But the one thing that I think is not uncommon in this whole area, in Central Market, you know, the South End Market, is that we have to be really careful. There are lots of artists here already, and you know, I think that people do resist if you just bring it all in, and you forget to take a look and just see what's already there. These are blocks in the city that have been challenging for decades. Lots of vacant space, lots of blight, lots of social problems, and so part of what we want to do is focus geography. So we're calling it trailblazing or path making, but the idea is, what happens if we create a series of partnerships, public art projects, community-based workshops, activities, performances, and events that begins to create connection between the 5M project, down the 6th Street corridor, and into Central Market. And then our partners along the Central Market corridor pick it up from there. And then we build partnerships with people into the Tenderloin, and they pick it up from there. We need to be an essential component of any civic dialogue. Artists should be front and center when it comes to thinking about community change. And one of the things that has been really exciting is we've been working with an artist named Wendy MacNaughton. She's an amazing illustrator and visual artist, and she has a process that's very anthropological. She embeds herself in a community. She spends a lot of time sketching the street, meeting the people, learning their stories, and creating sort of a graphic illustration or a map of just what it is. And Forest City just recently hired Wendy to be in the lead on another one of their projects here in San Francisco, which is even bigger than this one. And that's it. That's like the perfect example of what we are trying to do, which is to say artists are uniquely gifted to be in the front lines in thinking about community and thinking about how we develop things or change things moving forward. What comes next for us is this first phase of placemaking and building the relationships and the appropriate programs for this new entity, PlaceWorks, which is really exciting. I know of nothing else like it, and it's really, I think, going to truly articulate how essential art is to this kind of economic development and really inclusive change in neighborhoods. And so it's not just the early stage placemaking, it's not just the public art or just the performances, it's ongoing and it's integrated. And so, the working on that is a big part of what we're focusing on over the next few years. At the same time, we get to play because we're here, we have this 4-acre site. We know that, roughly that we're where we're going, but we have a lot of opportunity to play around with that. What does it look like? Maybe it's really different from anything that we can imagine today. Maybe it's totally different. So that's the focus, is to keep experimenting forward.